Most people think they can't sell. That's not it at all. They were never really supposed to be the one selling. And every time they got ghosted, it wasn't really aimed at them. It was aimed at being handed a job that honestly the system should have been doing in the first place. Give me the next few minutes. I'm going to show you why the ghosting was never really about you and the exact shift that gets people responding instead of disappearing the second that that conversation gets real. If you want the exact tool that shows you what to say instead so that you're never the one pitching or over explaining or actually convincing again, it's called From Cold to Sold, 5 messages to the sale. All you do is you paste in what your prospect said and it hands you back the right reply. Drop sold in the comments, I'll send it over to you. My name's Scott. I've had 5 restarts, 1 breakthrough. In every video, I'm going to give you one idea that actually led to that breakthrough. Here's the belief that kept a lot of people stuck, and it still keeps a lot of people stuck, if I'm being honest. And that is, if I could just get better at closing, better at handling objections, better at not sounding like I'm selling, people would respond. So they practice their pitch, they rehearse the follow-up, and it still goes quiet. Not because they got worse at it, but because getting better at pitching was never really the fix. And it wasn't until I realized that I was never really meant to sell a product, only the next step in the process that took my business a strong leap forward. So right now, if this is you, you're probably still doing the thing that's not working. You're writing longer messages, you're adding more value up front, you're trying to out-explain the objection before it even comes up. Or you've gone the other direction and just stopped posting anything that could be remotely read as a pitch at all. Because the last few times it went quiet and that silence hurt. It hurt more than it should have, honestly. Here's why. You were never supposed to carry that whole conversation. Diagnosing why someone's past attempts failed, handling their specific objections, making the case for why this time is going to be different. That's not a get better at talking problem. That's a system problem. And when a person tries to manually do what the system is supposed to do, it's exhausting for you and it feels like being sold to for them. And nobody wants that. That's what the silence really is. I learned that people weren't really ghosting me. They were really just hiding from me, trying to get them to make a decision that they weren't really ready to make yet. Now here's the minimal DM handoff, the shift that gets you out of that closer's chair entirely. Step 1 is just to stay warm, stay human, be conversational, be yourself. When someone responds to your content, you're not explaining or convincing. You're not jumping in and trying to sell them something immediately. You're just being a real person. You're having a real talk with them. That's it. That's your entire job in this step. Step 2 is to hand off, don't hard sell. So instead of trying to close the conversation yourself, you route it to the system, the part built to actually diagnose what's going on and answer objections with real numbers, not guesses. And then step 3 is just to step back and let the system do the heavy lifting. The prospect experiences it firsthand. Their actual objections are getting handled, their specific why didn't the last thing work question is getting answered, and that's the proof. Not because you convinced them, but because they actually experienced it and they watched it happen. It'll help them in the long run too. This system was based on years of experience of people who have sold millions of dollars of products. And it works because it stops asking you to be something you were never meant to be. You can absolutely keep refining your pitch, and you probably should keep practicing that close. And some people make that work through sheer repetition. But when the diagnosing and objection handling happens somewhere else, somewhere built specifically to do that, then you get to just be the person who was warm and human at the start of the conversation. And that literally is a job that anybody can learn to do very, very well. So if you want From Cold to Sold, the tool that hands you the right reply instead of leaving you to figure it out, drop sold below and I'll send it over your way. You can literally just paste in the next message that someone sends you and you can know exactly what to say back. Not because you got better at selling, but because you stopped trying to do a job that quite honestly was never yours. And the silence you've been bracing for, it starts happening a lot less because you're not the one being pushed against anymore. See you in the next video.